Am I the asshole for telling my female friend I don't care about her feelings? I'm getting married in 2 weeks. Last week was my bachelor party and several of my friends attended, women and men. During the party one of my female friends, let's give her the name Kelly, got very drunk and confessed to me how she's not happy that I'm getting married and that she thinks my future wife is not a good match for me. She also confessed she's been in love with me since we were 21, now we are 27, and that it hurt her feelings how I never realized and never did anything about it. Due to the fact that she was drunk, I completely ignored what she said and I was like, fine, okay, whatever, at that moment. I waited till she got sober to see if she'd say anything about this again. 2 days after the party she texted me and asked me if I thought about what she said. I told her to elaborate just to make sure she's talking about her confession. She was indeed talking about it. And I told her exactly what I thought. I told her I don't care what she thinks about me and my fiancé being a good match and she's not the best judge if that since she claims to be in love with me. I also told her that I truly don't care about her feelings towards me and I don't know what she expected to achieve. She was shocked to see me responding like that and she was like, "You don't need to be rude about this." I replied telling her that of course I'll be rude. She's trying to ruin my wedding by thinking confessing to me will change anything. Told her to come back to reality and realize she's not playing in a movie and her confession is embarrassing, and instead of letting it go and blaming it on the alcohol she pushed it and expected to see whether she'd actually have succeeded. I told her at this point I don't care about her at all. That girl apparently exposed me to our friends. She didn't tell them the whole story and I had to explain to everyone what she really said and expected. My friends kept insisting that I acted like an asshole and just because I'm getting married that gives me no right to invalidate my friends' feelings towards me. Am I the asshole? Edit. I also want to clarify one thing. Kelly has not been a good person towards my fiancé at all. Especially during our first years together. She only fixed her attitude after I had several fights with her regarding boundaries. Due to her fixed attitude I believed she changed truly. Not the asshole. She's had 6 years to tell you how she feels and decided right before your wedding was the right time? Oh hell nah. Not the asshole. I would disinvite her from your wedding. I don't think the confession was that terrible, although she should have left out the part about you and your fiancé not being a good match and kept it purely about her own feelings. But the fact that she is dragging your mutual friends into this non-argument is a huge red flag. There is no reason for her to be in your life anymore. Not the asshole. You probably could have been a little more tactful in your response, but as a female, I would greatly appreciate it if my partner responded by shutting her down quickly, and you're not responsible for her emotions or her feelings. Not the asshole. This the exact energy I need my future husband to have if someone pulls that shit. Not the asshole. She's trying to ruin your wedding. Why wouldn't you react badly? And you need to reevaluate your friendships if they think it's your job to validate anyone's feelings, especially inappropriate feelings. Not the asshole 100%. Yeah, you could have been less harsh, but damn, she should have taken no for an answer. She had 6 years to tell you how she felt and she waits until right before your wedding? Nah. What did she expect you to do? Leave your fiancé who you've been with for years and run away with her? Also, if I was your wife I would honestly be relieved you had that reaction. Not the asshole. This girl has been trying to undermine your relationship for years, having previously treated your fiancé poorly until you put her in her place. She has watched way too many rom-coms and thought they were reality. Her sudden confession is nothing other than a last-ditch effort to stir up trouble and ruin your relationship. Lance and drain this boil once and for all. That is, uninvite this so-called friend from your wedding and from your life. Any other friend who agrees with her can GTFO too. Not the asshole. Rom-coms have a lot to answer for. So many have the heartfelt confession by love-struck protagonist at the North Hour portrayed as a good thing. It's rude. Weddings aren't quick things to prepare. Which means you had plenty of time to confess feelings, so doing it just before that person says I do shows you just want to be disruptive. Could Op had been nicer in his wording? Perhaps. Did Kelly deserve it? Nope. She admitted she's been in love with Op for 6 years. She's had plenty of time to admit her feelings, but she wanted him to pick her. Too bad, Buttercup. Wipe off that entitlement and get over yourself. Am I the asshole for being mad my boyfriend won't make noodles the way I like? Okay, this sounds dumb, but hear me out. I have always been a picky eater, especially when it comes to tomatoes. Ever since I was a kid my dad would make my spaghetti different from the rest of the house. I like having an essence of the sauce flavor on the noodles but not the overpowering flavor having noodles bathed in sauce creates. So, here's where it gets a bit odd. My dad would separate my spaghetti from the family's after putting the sauce on and then would rinse the sauce off with the sink and strainer. I love noodles like this as it is a nice subtle tomato vibe given to the mild spaghetti. My boyfriend, 26, has known about this since we first started dating. He always told me my food habits were cute. We have been dating for almost 3 years now and moved in together at the beginning of the pandemic so we could be in lockdown together. Ever since we moved in together he insisted on taking charge of cooking and all cooking-related tasks, dishes, grocery shopping, etc., and he assigned me the role of cleaning the bulk of the apartment. We split other tasks pretty much 50-50 too. Everything was perfect and he always seemed so be making noodles the way I liked them when we had them. This was until last week when we last had spaghetti. We ate and everything was good but afterwards he started teasing my saying things like, "You really like your pasta with an essence of tomato," and "How was your tomato essence, babe?" Always using finger quotes around the word essence. After a few comments I felt something was off and asked him if he had done anything differently with tonight's noodles than he usually does and he started laughing. When he finally stopped laughing he told me the whole truth while smirking. He said, "I didn't do anything different than I usually do. I have never been making it the way you have requested. Apparently the entire time we've been living together he's just been skipping the pasta sauce on my noodles entirely." He claimed that if I didn't notice for this long then it shouldn't matter that he is making dinner in a way that is easier for him. I disagree entirely. I think the lying was a huge breach of trust and so was the refusal to make dinner how I wanted. I have admittedly been acting passive-aggressively to him since, but he thinks he did nothing wrong, that I'm overreacting, and that I need to let it go. Am I the asshole? Edit. My boyfriend found the post and is not happy. I'm debating pouring the sauce directly down the drain to spite him. Edit 2. So a lot has happened since this morning. Y'all may be happy to hear we broke up. We had a huge blow-up fight since he found the post which led to me breaking up with him. He did not like being called a predator and I started to think y'all had a point about that so I ended up breaking up with him. He attempted to plead with me a bit. My parents pay our rent so he can't afford the place without me, but I wouldn't budge. Now some things I found out in the argument. First, he is not a pharmacist like he always told me, he just works at CVS. Second, he has actually cheated on me multiple times with other girls that go to my college. And lastly, and worst of all, he has never actually been allergic to dogs and just doesn't like them. This is the most whiny 5-year-old toddler post I've ever seen. You are the asshole, grow up. If you didn't notice a difference until he pointed it out, then your preference for the essence of sauce is BS. Just make them yourself. I back your boyfriend 100%. Where is the problem here? If you never noticed then why does he need to go through any extra effort to rinse your noodles? Also why don't you just rinse your noodles? It's your food and your preference. I think you're just pissy because you're feeling dumb you didn't know he wasn't putting sauce on them at all. If you never had a problem with it all this time then why does it matter and why should he put in extra effort? You are the asshole for making a big deal of nothing. Putting sauce on, then rinsing it off at the dumbest thing I'll see on Reddit today. I'm guessing that your dad never did it either and was also lying to you to spare the princess entitled screaming that you happen if you did not realize that he was not making a big effort to serve your food differently from everyone else. Edit sorry for the word salad. I was in a hurry. You are the asshole just eat your plain noodles or don't eat spaghetti anymore. He's being a bit of an asshole too but it's literally just pasta. Ask your dad how many times he actually washed the sauce off versus giving you plain noodles. You couldn't taste the difference so my guess is he did what your boyfriend did. If you're going to be that fussy then cook your own noodles. He sucks for lying 3 years. Info. Have you asked your dad if he just skipped the sauce too? Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened here. He wanted to prove a point and he kind of did. YTA. You are the asshole. You ate them without complaint. What's the issue here? That he didn't have to do extra steps to get you to eat it? I'm trying and failing to see the problem. Am I the asshole I told my wife that she can't be a som? I and my wife worked as software engineers when we got married. She took a maternity leave when she was around 36 weeks pregnant. This was an unplanned pregnancy as we both had been using contraception. Our baby is 1 year old now. My wife had her maternity leave until about 2 months ago. I had asked her to start looking for jobs, but she said she wants to just stay home with our daughter because she doesn't want to leave her at home and go to work. I was a bit surprised because she doesn't like doing housework much. So I asked her if she was sure she could handle 60% housework and childcare every day. She said she can. I was a bit skeptical, so I told her let's try it for a month, and if she isn't able to cope, she'll be going back to work. The first week, she handled it pretty well, then started saying that she wasn't able to handle everything at home alone. So I started helping her out extra with the laundry or dishes before going to work, but she still wasn't able to cope. So I told her today that she has to go back to work since she's not able to do the housework and childcare alone. She got mad at me and started saying that I'm basing her worth on her ability to do housework and childcare and that I'm being sexist. Am I the asshole? Edit. Before the pregnancy, we did a 50-50 split for the most part. During the pregnancy, I did majority chores since she used to get tired easily and it was harder for her. After our daughter's birth, I started doing almost all chores since she was too exhausted to do anything except breastfeeding and changing nappies. Maybe you should both write out what you consider to be a stay-at-home mother job description and compare the results. If you can't both come to an amicable agreement on what that is in an acceptable way for you both, you can explore other options. I'm going with no assholes here just because from the description it doesn't sound like you've really laid down roles and responsibilities like you would for an actual job. Here is another idea. She starts doing some small amount of consulting work, 5–10 hours a week, and you use that money to hire someone to clean a couple times every week. As a software engineer, she has way more ability to earn some money that way than most people can. When I was a data consultant, I charged $80 an hour, and that was a pretty low rate. With that, I could hire a housekeeper for 2 hours at $30 an hour, and $20 for taxes. It might also help keep her skills sharp and up to date, which will matter if she is planning on going back to work at some point, like when your child reaches kindergarten. I don't really think any of you are assholes, but raising a baby on itself is full-time job, and one you don't get a break from. Nah. Not the asshole. Nothing wrong with asking a partner to contribute monetarily, regardless of gender or parental role. It's a partnership. Daycare and housecleaners exist for a reason. Not the asshole. You can't tell your wife she has to get a job. He definitely can tell his wife he's not willing to do all the household chores on top of working overtime to pay all the bills. Not the asshole. You guys tried it out as a trial for a month and it just didn't work out. That's okay, it's just time to try something different. Also, are you guys financially able to have her as a som? It's definitely hard in today's society to afford a family on one income. There feels like there are no assholes here and no winners either. You're a couple. You need to make this call jointly. Can your finances afford a stay-at-home parent and some housekeeping? Not the asshole. She wants to stay home, but doesn't want any responsibility? What exactly does she think you get from this arrangement? It's amazing how people will bend over backwards to defend a woman who, gosh darn it, just doesn't feel like working. Am I the asshole for not giving my sibling a ride after she refused to babysit? Firstly, this is a throwaway account as I am worried my normal username can give me away. My sister, 33F, Sherry, and I, 31F, had a great relationship. Nothing to fight about really, we are different people but get along fine. I have one child, 5M, Jack. My child's father isn't local, not in the picture. I got a call from my child's daycare that Jack was unwell and I gave permission for emergency pain relief, kids painkiller to bring his fever down. But he will still need to be brought home ASAP and they gave me the COVID policy speech. I explained I was over an hour and a half away but will organize pickup ASAP. I was over an hour and a half away due to new work training. It's a huge opportunity for me and Jack and could change our lives if this job probation works out. I rang my go-to babysitter but she was actually unwell herself and apologized as she could have been the one that made Jack sick. My ex-Mill is elderly so not a help and I rang my mum, she didn't answer 3 times. I rang my sister and she said no. I explained Jack's car seat is at the daycare if that was the problem and I'd be home in under 2.5 hours and I'll pay her. She then went on a rant I have never heard, ever. She started saying she is child-free by choice and she's not my babysitter. I was taken off guard and said I have literally never asked her to babysit before and was just asking this one time to help as she's my sister and no one can help me and this training finishes soon and I'll be home ASAP. She then said, I'm not obliged to help you or babysit because I'm family. My blood ran so hot and I got teary eyes and just said okay and hung up. I left training early and cried the entire way back. I haven't called or messaged Sherry in 4 weeks. Not unusual. We don't talk every day. And yesterday she Facebooked me that she needs a car ride as hers just broke down. I ignored her message because all those feelings came back to me and I wanted to cry. An hour goes by and she calls my phone and says, "Hey op, can you pick me up from," and I just cut her off and said, "No, I'm not obliged to help you or give you car ride just because we are family," and I hung up. She called over and over and I ignored them. I read the messages she sent me and long story short she is saying I'm an asshole and I should still help her because I'm her sister and this was an emergency. Mother had to drive to pick Sherry up and mother hates driving. Sherry didn't want to call an Uber because she doesn't like them. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. She's right about not being obligated to help you. But here's the thing, when you refuse to help someone when they desperately need it, then you really can't expect them to help you. Your sister decided that family doesn't mean you have to help someone in an emergency, and that is okay. But she is an asshole for thinking that isn't a two-way street. Funny how the withholding of favors only works in one direction in sister's book. Not the asshole. She's an idiot. Doesn't like Uber? Lol. Precious. Not the asshole. Sounds fair to me. You can either rely on people in an emergency or you can't. Now you both know who not to call. Not the asshole. Reciprocating supportive acts is important to maintaining healthy relationships. You didn't have alternatives when you asked her for help. She actually had alternatives when she asked you for help. Not the asshole. B. C. How was your emergency not an emergency but hers was? Rhetorical question, as she is a hypocrite. Not the asshole. Love your response. Hope you didn't lose out too badly on the training? Not the asshole. If you really never asked her before to babysit or for other favors, your sister's reaction is very weird. Not the asshole. I'm the child-free sister in my family, and while I am super uncomfortable being solo responsible adult with kids, I'd help in a heartbeat if this happened to my sister. She didn't have to help you, but she didn't have to be a jerk about it. You were a bit petty in your response, but to be honest I don't blame you. Y'all need to sit down and have a good long talk.